Alrighty. Happy Sunday. Welcome to everybody who's joining us at home live or for the replay. My name's Devon. This practice, it's an Align and Flow. We're going to use 2 blocks, and we'll do some heart openers today, actually. It's been quite a while since we've done that, so we're going to get into the heart. And the invitation for the practice, and something I've been working on personally all week, is just remembering that like we have 2 different guidance systems, and it's really relevant in this practice too. So like in the context of this practice, we can navigate through the mind, right, through like thinking and intellect, and then we can navigate through the body, or what I'll kind of refer to today as like the heart. Another way of saying that is just following where the energy goes. And sometimes, in this practice and outside of this practice, those things are not on the same page. Like our heart wants and feels towards one thing, and then our mind is kind of thinking in another direction. And so trusting like the heart guidance is what this teaching suggests is kind of like the safest way to stay in alignment with the greater whole. And that's a hard thing to do. I think when the mind is really strong and the mind has this agenda, it can be hard to ignore, but heart guided navigation usually is where like the energy is. And in my experience, every time I follow that, everything works out exactly how I want it to. So it's kind of like, how can we leapfrog all of that mental business and just follow where the attention is and where the energy is, which is usually what the heart is pushing us to. Okay, so we're going to start in fish with the blocks. So you'll take one of your blocks behind your heart the wide way. So it's kind of like a little bit higher up than you'd think. And then you'll take the second block behind your head, and your legs can do whatever you want. So I like Supta Baddha Konasana sometimes. Other times I like to just stretch my legs forward like Shavasana. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure you feel that first block is underneath your heart as opposed to like the middle bend of your spine. These all look good. And then you can close your eyes. Okay, and right away, see if you can start tapping into just the physical space of your heart and chest. And sometimes this space feels easy to connect with and expansive, and other days this space feels a little bit foreign. So whichever is totally fine. Just put your attention on your heart and on the breath and the chest, and just let things unfold on their own. And so the mind is going to navigate using thought and all of these different calculations. It's basically the feeling of anxiety. The heart navigates through feeling and through energy. And so we'll practice that today just by feeling our way through the postures, through the practice. Take a deep breath in through your nose and start to fill up and expand the belly and the chest. Open mouth, exhale, let everything go. Good. So breathe a little bit deeper as you inhale to fill up the base of your belly. Feel the sides of your ribs inflate, the very top of your chest. And then open mouth, exhale, let everything go. So you're challenging the perceived boundaries of your breath. One more time. Inhale. Open mouth, exhale. Good. Now seal your lips. Invite your body to get a little bit heavier. Invite your shoulders to really just glide down so the heart can be anatomically a little more open. Just a few more moments here. If you feel like you are enjoying this position and you need a couple more moments, just stay. And if you're ready to move forward, go ahead and roll over to your right side body. Take a little fetal position, resting on your upper arm, knees pull in towards your chest. Just allow your spine to neutralize. And then use your hands and start pressing your way up to tabletop. Facing the front, legs behind you, take your hands underneath your shoulders. Just find a little bit of gentle movement. So as you inhale, take cow pose, drop your belly, lift your chin up. Then as you exhale, gentle cat, round through your spine, just especially the shoulders. Good. Inhale, cow pose. Open up the whole front line of your body. And exhale, round into cat. Inhale one more time, cow pose. Open through your throat as well. And then exhale into cat, just back line of the body, nice and open and wide. Good. Come back to neutral spine. Take your hands and turn them around so that your fingertips point back toward your knees and your wrists begin to open. So for some of us, this will be perfectly enough. Others will need to sit the hips back just an inch or two towards the heels, just to open up the center of your wrist, but just be mindful and gentle. And keep taking deep breaths and establishing your breath practice here at the start, at the front end. Flip your hands around, so back into tabletop position. Stretch your right leg back. Tuck your toes against the floor. And then left arm goes forward. And know that you can stay right here. Okay, next layer of spinal balance, you'll lift your right foot up off of the floor. Good, and then just pause for a moment and think about hugging into the center of your body. So in other words, engage your core. And I like to do that by stiffening, kind of like I'm going to sneeze or cough. So there's kind of like a filling out sensation. Keep that. Pull your right knee in towards your belly until your spine wants to round. So don't round your spine. Keep it in a tabletop position, and that's your range. Now reach your left hand back and tap your right thigh. Good. So this way we can keep the core really engaged. So now inhale, stretch everything out. Good, Kristen. Exhale, right knee, pull it in just to the range before your spine would round, left hand taps. You guys got it. One more time. Inhale, stretch out. Exhale, tap. Good. Inhale, back to spinal balance. You can stay, or option to reach back and grab for your right foot. And you'll take a gentle quad stretch. So instead of kicking so much, I want you to pull your heel in towards your seat and then curl your pelvis under like cat and get into your quad a little deeper. And just notice how also there's a little balance involved, right? Kind of pulling you toward your center line, a little deeper into your core. And release into tabletop. And then stretch your left leg back. Then right fingertips go forward. Pause for a moment. And then if you moved forward, lift your left leg up and start to find your core engagement. So that filling out of the midsection. Nice. Left knee pulls in. Stop before your spine rounds. Right hand reaches back to tap your left thigh. Good. Inhale, stretch out long. So the whole time you're focusing on the stability of your core. Exhale, tap. One more time. Good, reach your body long. You can stay in spinal balance or reach back and grab for your left foot. Instead of kicking like dancers, you're pulling your foot towards your seat. And if you need more for your quad, that's when you round into kind of like a cat pose and you'll feel your left quad lengthen. Good, Claire. And take one more breath. And release into tabletop. Walk your hands forward about a foot, tuck your toes underneath, and move into your first downward. So keep it gentle for the first one, so you can soften the knees. Start to get acquainted with the feeling of your hands and your feet pressing into the floor. So really that's everything in this pose. The hands and the feet are your leverage to get into more depth. Sometimes we forget. Right? If you push into your hands and push into your feet, like you're going to rip your mat at the center, you can get a lot more length this way. Work on now integrating your breath into the posture. And how can you feel your way into a little more depth here? And can you start to distinguish the difference of what your mind is telling you to do in the practice and what your sense of feeling or your heart is telling you to do? It's not that one is better than the other. We just want to learn to distinguish the two. Okay. On your next inhale, look forward to your fingertips and take little steps to the top of your mat. Once you get there, grab one of your blocks and take it high up between your inner thighs. So we'll take a forward fold with the block. And of course, if you have low back pain or sensitivity, you can do this still squatting, right, with your hands on your knees. If you are taking the squatting variation, hands on your thighs, you're still moving your ankles back, or your knees back rather, over your ankles. Yeah. And then everyone's just dropping through the head. And then the block is here for you to find a little extra engagement. So with the block high up between your inner thighs, just think about squeezing your inner thighs into the block gently. Keep going with the breath. So just a little bit of a different sensation for the fold. And we also want to really focus on the center line of the body today as we move into back bends. On your next inhale, take a halfway lift, lengthen through your spine. Awesome. And pause for a second. So halfway lift, I want you to rotate your inner thighs to the back of the room so you feel them dig into the block. Push your shoulders down from your earlobes. And then you could take your hands to your core here because your core is doing all the work, not your hands. Okay. Now take your hands to your seat. Engage your glutes and use the engagement of your glutes to then press your pelvis forward and stand. Right? So when we stand up, it's coming from the glutes. Okay? Reach your arms up for mountain pose and pause for a moment. So you can do this with eyes closed or open or whatever feels most natural. I just want you to think about the center line of your body. So squeezing into the block is kind of bringing us into that place anyway. But feel the engagement of squeezing into the block, kind of moving up through your spine and through the crown of your head. Okay, take a full breath in. As you exhale, hands together in front of your heart, Samastitihi. Again, inhale, mountain, reach your arms up. Exhale, forward fold, really dig into the block as you come down. Okay, at the bottom, take a halfway lift, lengthen up. Exhale, your left foot steps back, low lunge. We'll pause for our first lunge here. You can move around or stay static. Really good. Back knee to the floor. Inhale, crescent moon. Sweep your arms up to the ceiling. Awesome. And then like you had the block still there, squeeze your inner thighs together. And use that as a catalyst for more vertical length. Good. Spread your fingers, roll your shoulders back. And it's kind of like as we squeeze the inner thighs and just focus on length, it naturally wants to become a little bit of a back bend. I don't know if you feel that in your body, but just kind of follow that a little bit. So as you really engage, if your heart wants to spill back an inch, you can do that. Yeah, for one more breath. Exhale, half splits. Use your blocks. Lengthen your right leg. So your right toes, yeah, half splits. Right toes will lift up off of the floor. Good. Make it more active. So you actually push your right heel down into the floor, and then use that leverage to traction your right thigh bone back an inch. Perfect. Good, Brendan. And if you can, keep the length in your spine. So instead of catting and rounding, try to keep this almost like a halfway lift, which is another way of saying it's kind of back bendy. Like we want the same alignment of a back bend here. All right, and then as you inhale, it's grounded lunge. So keep the back knee down and just push forward. Yeah, back knee stays down, heart forward. You can even open your throat. We're gonna flow through that. So as you inhale, heart forward. Exhale, half splits. A couple more times on your own. So you're just moving between the two. Opening through the front of your left hip, through the hamstring on the right. Next time you inhale, no rush, just come back to a low lunge. Lift your back knee up. You can ditch your blocks. Inhale to high plank. Step your right foot back to meet the left. And of course, you can tap your knees down. Like we talked about in tabletop, fill out your core. Okay, so stiffen through your abdominals, press the floor away from you. And then in plank, we have this length and engagement. I want you to try to keep that as you then lower down to your belly. And maybe that involves putting the knees down. We'll work into spine strengthening from here. So Clara, yeah, that's an awesome option. You could also do tabletop spinal balance if you'd like. So from Cobra, tops of your feet down. You can lift your chin up off of the ground to set this up. I find it kind of helpful. Slide your fingertips back a few inches. Good. Dig your toenails down until your kneecaps lift. Squeeze your glutes to drive your pelvis into the floor. Now start to really pinch your elbows in. Okay, so we're already in spinal engagement. Now lift your heart, and for today, lift your hands and breathe. Try to make more space between your palms and the floor by poking your elbows higher. Good, Katie. Now longer back through the toes and through the crown of your head. Your feet stay down on the floor. For one more breath in. Okay, exhale, release. Tuck your toes. Press up into table or plank, whichever. Awesome. Exhale, downward facing dog. Lift your hips up. Really nicely done. On your inhale, left leg to the ceiling and pause. When we lift the leg, we want to do so from square hips. So tilt your outer left hip down towards the floor just slightly. And then instead, feel your left glute lifting your foot a little bit higher. Exactly, Trina. Exhale, low lunge. Step your foot forward. Blocks are really, really great here. Right hand down, inhale, left arm high. Low lunge twist. Probably gonna feel good to roll your wrist out, but whatever feels nice for your twist. You can think about the twist happening basically where that block was at the start of class. That's where we want to focus on the rotation. Awesome, Pat. Take one more breath in, open chest. Good. Exhale, forward fold. Hand down, step to the top of your mat. Block between your upper inner thighs. Take a halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Good. Mountain pose. Come all the way up to standing. So we're moving with breath. Squeeze into the block. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, dig into the block, forward fold. At the bottom, halfway lift. Good. Exhale, right foot steps back, low lunge. Pause for a couple moments. Back knee to the floor. Inhale, crescent moon. Reach your fingertips up. And then start feeling like you had that block there and play with lifting. Yeah, Diana. That lift may turn into a subtle back bend. And what we have to start realizing is that back bend is not about like throwing our spine into a shape. Okay? A back bend is mostly energetic. So just taking the chest back an inch will totally change the energetic quality of the posture. Take one more inhale. And then as you exhale, half splits, lengthen through your left leg. Blocks are great. Remember that we're making this one more active than usual, so you're pushing your left heel into the ground and then hugging the left thigh bone back an inch or so. Good. And then just remember what the invitation for the practice is today. Okay? Your mind is more than capable of getting you from this practice start to finish. And that's likely our default. So what would it be like to feel your way into the next breath and the next breath? Grounded lunge, come forward. Back knee stays glued to the floor. Just start to press, right? So it's like you're pushing your pelvis forward, chin forward, and that'll open up the whole front line on the right. Exhale back. And just start to flow. Instead of calculating or staying kind of rigid in your brain, just soften in. Next inhale, you come back to a low lunge. You'll set your blocks aside, pick up your back knee. Inhale, high plank. And then down to your belly, or tabletop, or child's pose. We'll do another set of spine strengthening. This time I want you to slide your hands back until your wrists are underneath your elbows. So it should feel different, okay? But same setup. Start to engage your legs. Your feet stay on the ground in Cobra, right? Use your glutes like in mountain pose, like we did to come up to mountain. Drive the pelvis into the floor. Keep your glutes squeezing. Elbows wrap back. Lift your heart up off of the floor. So there's a lot of cueing involved in this posture because if we don't really ignite the back body, then all we're really doing is using the stomach to push down into the ground to lift, okay, or cranking on the low back. So I want you to feel as you stay lifted in Cobra that the whole back line of your body is clenching tight like a fist. Now get longer through the crown of your head for one more breath. Exhale, release. Should feel like a lot of tension letting go there. Hands underneath your shoulders. Press up into table or plank. Your level of challenge there. Exhale, downward facing dog. Lift your hips up. Solid. Really, really good. Lift your right leg high from square hips. Really good alignment. That's it. Awesome, Erica. Drive through the heel. Make your leg a little bit straighter. Exhale, low lunge. And as you're ready, take the twist, right arm up. Nice. Roll out your wrist if you like it. It's not rotation in the low spine. So if you feel like you're twisting at the low back, back out a little bit. The challenge is, can you find the rotation right behind the heart? Nice. Exhale, hand to the floor. Step forward into your fold. Grab your block. Place it between your inner thighs. Last time through Sun A, halfway lift, lengthen up. Every halfway lift should feel like Cobra, okay? It's that engaged. Exhale, forward fold. Come up to standing, inhale, mountain. Really just focus on the breath. Exhale, hands together in front of your heart. Good, take the whole inhale, mountain pose. And take the whole exhale to fold. At the bottom, halfway lift, keep your block there. Exhale, hands to the ground. With your block between your upper inner thighs, hop back into plank. Look forward, come down to your belly. Keep the block between your upper inner thighs. Squeeze into the block. Cobra pose, inhale. And exhale, release your mouth into the ground. Good. Tuck your toes underneath you. Keep squeezing into the block. Inhale, plank or table. We'll keep the block downward facing dog. And just take a moment to adjust to the feeling of having the block here, and what can this do for you to strengthen your dog. Dig your inner thighs into it and get that rotation into the pose. Awesome. These are looking nice. I'll challenge you to be more intentional about your hands. Okay, spread your fingers out and dig into the base knuckle of every single finger. Okay, so the way that the posture is from the ground up is important. Okay, that's much better. Take a deep breath in. Open mouth, exhale. So this is a little bit tricky, but look forward to your hands. Try to keep the block between your inner thighs and jump to the top of your mat. It could be a couple jumps, nice. Keep the block there, take a halfway lift. Exhale as a forward fold, relax everything down. Keep the block there, inhale chair pose, bend your knees, sweep your fingertips up to the sky. And just notice that the inner thighs are really a part of our core engagement, and you can feel that in the way that the block right now is pulling us into the middle, right, into the core of our body, literally. Really good. Sit deeper into your heels. Bend your knees forward. Yeah, and then if you can create more space in your shoulders by widening the arms, do that. Really nicely done. Take another breath. Exhale, forward fold, release. You can take that block out, halfway lift, inhale. Now as you exhale, step your left foot back into a warrior one setup. This means that your back heel is down and your left toes point to the top left corner of your mat. Bring a block with you and come all the way up to warrior one. So just for a moment, we'll focus on the low body. In warrior one, your feet are actually pretty wide, okay? Just because that's more realistic for anybody who has hips. Okay, bend your right knee forward, so right toes point forward, exactly. Think about, instead of your legs being on like a tightrope, they're on train tracks, so there's width. Good, now block between your hands, reach your arms up to the sky. Awesome, bend your front knee forward. Doesn't matter if your hips are perfectly square, okay? This is just a weird pose, and it takes a lot of like tweaking to get comfortable in it. Roll your shoulders back. Good. Now as you inhale, straighten your right leg. Your goal right now is to keep your biceps behind your ears. Keep them that way. Hinge forward until they can no longer stay like that. So it will not be beyond parallel to the floor. Good. So it should feel a lot like Cobra. Inhale, back up. Keep your biceps behind your ears the whole time. Exhale, bend your right knee. Good. Inhale, straighten your leg. Exhale, hinge. Biceps stay up, up, up. Lift your arms to the ceiling as you lower. Come back up on the inhale. Good. Exhale, bend your leg. Last time, inhale, straighten your right leg. This is spine strengthening. Exhale, hinge. Squeeze into the block. Inhale, come back up. Good. Exhale, bend your knee. Take your block down to the floor. Inhale, standing splits. Lift your back leg up. And pause. Good work. Outer left hip squares down. Squeeze your inner thighs together a lot. Good. And then you can start folding your upper body closer to your right leg as you feel ready for that depth in the hamstring. It's just a one-legged forward fold. Take one more breath in. And exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift. This time, step your right foot back. Warrior one, set up. Back heel to the floor. Your feet are wide, remember? Yeah. Block stays between your hands, actually, and then you'll come up to warrior one. Yep. Lock in your hands, arms to the ceiling. Dig your back heel into the floor. Really, really solid. Left knee bends forward. Back heel drives down. So your back leg is really straight, but there's a micro bend in the knee, so you're not locking it. Hug your hands into the blocks like this. So your hands really press and squeeze. Keep that. Inhale, left leg straightens. Exhale, hinge. So I challenge you to be a little softer with your breath and your body. Okay, inhale, come back up slowly. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, hinge. Inhale, up. Exhale, bend. Last time, hug into the block. Inhale. Exhale, hinge. Inhale, up. Good. Exhale, bend your knee. Take your hands to the floor on your block, standing splits. Lift your right leg up. It's the same concept as in downward facing dog, right? Where we square the hips off to the floor and then lift from the base of the seat. Yes. Take one more in. Good. Exhale, forward fold. Take a halfway lift. As you exhale, step back to high plank. Hold it for a moment. Optional, knees come down. Really, really good. Take one more inhale. Exhale, come all the way down to your belly. Really, really good. Pause for just a second. Just hang out on your belly. It's so clear. For this next thing, if you want instead, so you can start setting up for eventual camel, just take your block between your inner thighs and play with going like this and then coming back up. Cool? If you want, that's an option for what you can do here. So from your belly, I want you to take your hands to your low back as if you were sliding your hands into your back pocket. So it should feel like camel. Spoiler alert. Okay, elbows squeeze together. Elbows squeeze together a lot. So nothing changes in the same way we set this up, but I want you to keep the intention. So dig your toes down, knees up. Yep. Use your glutes, drive your pelvis into the floor. Squeeze your elbows tighter together, and now lift your heart up and breathe. Good. Cobra with this little camel variation. I want you to keep wrapping your elbows tighter, tighter, tighter in. Squeeze your shoulder blades around your spine. Good. Take one more big breath. Good. Exhale, release your mouth to the floor, hands underneath your shoulders. Press back to a brief child's pose. Spread your knees wide. Good. Relax your belly. Let your forehead ground to the ground. And stretch your fingertips farther forward. I think that in a lot of ways we have been conditioned to distrust the sensations and guidance of our heart, or we could also call this intuition. Sometimes we have to make choices in life, and all the energy is on one choice, right? The energy is pushing us in one direction, and the mind is pushing us in the other. Right? We've been taught to use our minds to navigate. This practice and the yogic teachings teach us the opposite. And no one can learn what's better for you except for you, okay? But when we follow the energy and where the energy is flowing, whether it's in this practice or outside of this room, okay, usually what we're met with is frictionlessness, effortlessness. Okay. Take a really deep breath. And exhale, let everything go. Amazing work. Come up into tabletop. Okay, exhale, downward facing dog. Lift your hips up. Right leg high. Inhale. Exhale, step forward into a low lunge. Lift your back heel up here. So your left foot should be perpendicular to the floor. Yep, left heel is lifted up. And then from here, you're lifting into a full crescent lunge, arms to the ceiling. Yep, so you can lift your back heel up if you want to. There you go, perfect. Right shin bone, just like warrior one, it drives forward. And it's like if you had that block there between your inner thighs, what would that feel like? Okay, take one more breath in. As you exhale, hands come to bind at your low back, and that could look like grabbing opposite elbows or a 10-finger grip, okay? Inhale, heart up, shoulders back. Good, now take this into a little airplane torso. So you just hinge forward. And it's like you're trying to take your heart beyond your right leg. Awesome work. Lift your back heel higher. And you can stay here, or you have an option to launch into a bound airplane, which you're ready for because you've done so much spine strengthening and already you've been in the legs like this and standing splits, right? So you're just putting pieces together. Keep your core engaged and stiff. Drive your left leg back, okay? And then try to keep rolling the chest open so the shoulder heads continually draw back. Trina, it's great balance. Bring a micro bend into your right knee. Step back into your crescent lunge legs. Good. On an inhale, arms come back up to the sky. Good work. Exhale, warrior two, back heel down to the floor. Walk your stride out long enough so that you feel a little bit of stretch in the inner thighs. Good, Erica. I love the toes thing, right? So in any of our lunge postures, except for crescent lunge, you should be able to lift your toes up off the ground. Nothing changes because you're digging in through the mounds of the feet and the heel. Good. Right knee forward. Tune into the center of your chest, just like you did on the blocks at the very start of class. For another breath in. Exhale, extended side angle, right forearm, right inner thigh, left arm to the ceiling. Now, everybody take your left hand to the underside of your torso. Use your hand and manually rotate your heart to the sky. Good. Re-extend your left arm up and breathe. Nice. Try to extend your breath down into the feet and out into your wingspan. It's awesome, Brendan. Such good alignment. Exhale everything out. Check that you can lift your toes, right? Does that change things? Yeah. Inhale, star pose. Straighten your legs. Turn your toes to me. And then exhale, fold forward, prasarita, hands to the floor. Enjoy the fold. Turn your toes in, so that your pelvis is wide. Awesome. Shake your head out, yes and no, and let your spine decompress here. Awesome alignment in the room. Hands to the floor. Halfway lift gradually on the inhale. Good. Turn to the front of your space, low lunge. Crescent moon. Back knee down to the floor. Maybe it's on a block. If you've got some sensitivity in the kneecap, you're welcome to do that. All right. From crescent moon, I want you to swim your right arm back to put your hand in your back pocket. Left arm swims back. You're opening your shoulder as you go. Hands into your back pocket. This should feel familiar. Set it up like Cobra. Squeeze your inner thighs like there was a block. Elbows pull back. Now work on length. So I want you to think about your spine as an ocean wave, okay? First, a wave builds height, right? It builds until it can't build any higher. It starts to curl, right? So I want you to feel that. First, there's length. And then when you can't get any taller, naturally the spine will curve. Okay? And that happens right around the heart center. Now, as you take this back bend, I want you to keep squeezing your elbows together. It should feel extremely intense. And now we're breathing into all that sensation. If you can keep your core engaged and you're feeling called to reach your arms back, you're welcome to do that for 2 more breaths. Next exhale, gently lengthen up, come all the way down. Neutralize in a half splits for a moment. And come forward into a lunge. Step back to downward facing dog. And just feel for a moment. Some big opening going on in subtle ways. Downward facing dog. Lift your left leg high. Exhale into your low lunge. Good, so your back heel stays lifted really high, exactly. And then you come up into full crescent lunge. Right away, breathe. Nice adjustments. Take your bind, either grabbing for elbows or one fist behind you. Yeah. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, airplane torso. First, hinge your upper body forward and pause. Just the upper body first. Try to take your heart beyond your left toes. Bend deeper into your left knee. Transition all your weight into your left foot. And then pick up your back. That's exactly it, Kristen. And breathe, okay? So feel that you're basically in Cobra on a stilt of your left leg, okay? Outer right hip squares to the floor. Beautiful. Shoulder heads pull back. Bend your left knee. Right toes tap back down slowly. Good, Dana. Inhale, crescent lunge, arms to the sky. And exhale, warrior two. Set your back heel down and open up your body. Make sure your stance is long enough so you feel that length at your inner thighs. They're amazing. Rest your gaze somewhere. So we spend a lot of energy looking around and wiggling the fingertips. Next exhale, extended side angle. Left forearm, left inner thigh, right arm to the ceiling. Amazing. Make sure you can lift all of your toes up off of the floor. Take your right hand to your left rib cage and gently rotate your heart to the ceiling. Good, keep that. Right arm re-extends. Fluid breath. And if the breath is like clunky, right, something's going on in your pose. So we need to adjust. Okay, next inhale, star pose. Straighten your legs, reach up and out. Exhale, bind your hands at your low back this time. Again, you can hold elbows or take the fists. I really want you to focus on shoulder heads back. Keep that and fold. Chest expansion, forward fold. Doesn't matter how low you go, I really want you to work on opening your chest. You can shake your head out, feels pretty good. Maybe open the jaw, stick out your tongue. Good. If you have the fist, release it to your low back. Slide your hands down the back of your legs. Forward fold. Take a halfway lift. Inhale. Turn to the front of your space. Low lunge. Crescent moon. Back knee to the ground or a block or your mat folded or the ground. Good. Arms up to the ceiling. And then from here we swim. Left arm back. Like be dramatic about it, okay? Right arm swims back, hands into invisible back pockets. So same thing here, okay? If we're using the wave metaphor, it starts from the very bottom, so squeeze your inner thighs together, and I want you to feel in your body that someone is going like this to your spine, okay? So lengthen up as much as you can, and then at the beginning of class, when we had that block underneath the heart and supported fish, that's where the wave breaks. And then go for it. Breathe and feel your way into depth. And if at some point you want to free the arms and reach them back, you can absolutely do that. Yes, yes, yes. But keep squeezing your inner thighs together. So we have to keep it all, right, building on itself. 2 more breaths. Awesome. Really, really good. Start to straighten out. Hinge it forward. It's a really beautiful place to just neutralize in a little half splits. Think halfway lift in your spine. Less rounding, more length. Crawl forward into a lunge. Step back to downward facing dog. Take 3 breaths. And drop down to your knees. Grab your block. So, like I said, we've been setting up for Camel this whole time. Camel is like one of the most intense back bends. I think wheel is more intense, but some people think Camel is. So just know that this might, we've kind of already been in Camel, just different legs here. So we're going to break it down a little bit. Come to your knees with a block between your upper and inner thighs. Really, we've already done all the parts for Camel except for this one thing that we're going to start with. So with a straight spine, take your hands and glue them to the tops of your thighs. So your arms are kind of in front of your body and they're stick straight. So we're not here, we're here, okay? Now squeeze into your block, and I want you to think about lightly drawing your tailbone down, just like a tiny bit to neutralize through your pelvis. Okay, so you're squeezing into the block, you're drawing your tailbone slightly down, okay? And now I want you to keep the plank, literal plank of your spine straight as you hinge back and pause. Okay, chin tucks back into your throat. Awesome. Squeeze into your block. What you'll notice is that maybe your butt wants to stick out. So you have to use the stiffness of your core and the lengthening of your tailbone down to keep this shape. To lift out of it, push your shins into the floor. Okay, so that's what we're lifting up. So we keep our spine safe this way by lifting through the shins instead of using the spine to lift. Okay, again, back. Chin plugs in. This is the same thing as, like what we were doing in Crescent Moon. Building length, try to get longer through the crown of your head, push your shins into the floor, and come back up. Good. Last time. Squeeze and hinge. I want you to think about your core wrapping in really tight. Make sure you're breathing. Exhale, push. Okay, tuck your toes underneath you. Right arm swims back. Left arm swims back and pause. So you can kind of do this little dance to get your shoulders back. Okay, what I see always in Camel is all of a sudden it's like the whole front line opens. So just like we just practiced. Core stiffens, tailbone slightly down. Okay, and then first, just like we did, hinge. I like the toes tucked, by the way. If you don't, you can untuck them for Camel. Now, just like we practiced, start to think of your spine as the wave. Okay, so you lengthen first, and then let that curvature happen right behind your heart. Heart up, 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 and back. Okay, and we're in Camel, and you're breathing for about 5 breaths. If you feel charmed to release your hands to grab your heels, you're welcome and you're open. Okay, but I do not want this dumping into your low back. You're here for 3 more breaths. If you need to open your mouth and stick your tongue out, you can do that. 2 more breaths. And then we're all going to move out of it together. So first it's hands to low back. Then you push your shin bones down to lift and straighten. Okay, sit down on your heels, hands in your lap, close your eyes, and just feel. It's a lot. Notice the sensations. If your heart is going kind of fast, it's very normal. There might be some lightheadedness. Just feel everything as a sensation. Okay, come onto your seat, swing your legs out in front of you. Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. Start with your knees quite bent. Arms reach up to the ceiling. Awesome. Pause for a moment. Remember with the block in Warrior One, how you try to get your biceps back? Okay, do that here. Keep them and hinge forward. Hinge forward as far as you can. Keep the length and then drop your hands down to your calves or your feet or your toes. This is not about rounding yet. This is about length. So think halfway lift. If you need to bend your knees deeper, do that. You will get a chance to round. So for now, just try to think back bend. You can scooch your seat back a few inches if that helps lengthen the low back. Good. One more breath for length. And now exhale, round. You've done so much spine strengthening, so really let yourself round, and you might even just disengage and kind of slump forward. Let your arms just drape along your legs. Drop your head. What would it be like to be effortless in this fold? Just let go. Yeah. And take one more deep breath in. As you exhale, you can start to round back. Take a block with you. Come all the way onto your back. We're going to take supported legs up the wall here. So you'll take this block at the flattest height, place it underneath your sacrum. Then your legs go up to the ceiling. And this is super nourishing for the low back, and with all the back bending that we did, we're actually going to stay here for a few minutes. Okay. Let your hands be effortless somewhere, if that's on the body or on the floor. It's all great. Close your eyes. And just let yourself feel, let yourself go deeper inward. Will you flip the switch for me? Hi guys, how are you? I'm teaching. As much as you can, let the weight of your legs plug into your pelvis. So you feel this like heaviness, this pooling of energy around your hips and your sacrum. You're going to bend your knees to your belly. Take your hands and grab your ankles. So you're in an upside down child's pose on the block. So your knees splay wide, your hands hold the tops of your shins. Just let your knees open. And then gently take your feet down to the floor. Remove your block and stretch into Shavasana. If you need to put blocks underneath your knees, you can do that. It can be great for releasing the low back, but we've got time to be here. I encourage you to get very comfortable. And sometimes we get a little lost in our mind. And we forget that our body has wisdom. Our body is always present and always as a part of nature. It's in balance with nature. Sometimes the body knows best how to stay balanced. Sometimes we need to use our minds to navigate, and then other times we might just see, where is the energy? Where is the energy pooling? Where is it dense? And what if it could be really simple and really effortless to navigate life? What if it could be easy? And if not easy, then at least clear. I'm going to leave you into asana. Please feel free to take all the time you need to just rest and be still. And when you do feel finished, you can close your practice in a way that feels good to you. And thank you for sharing your breath, your practice, your energy with me and everybody else here. Namaste.